And we're live.
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
How's it going, Peter?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, living the dream, living the dream.
And
Living the
it's
dream.
Wednesday. It's like half of the week, half of the work week is done almost. So that's good as well, I guess. Um, if Thanks everyone for joining. If you're here, let us know in the comments. Say hi or something, just so we know it's not only the two of us talking to each other. But all right, thanks for joining. So let's do like quick introduction. My name is Peter. I'm an engineer at Solo.io. I've been in the tech industry for a long time, going almost to like 20 years, I would say. But you know how it is. You think it's 5, and then you realize it's 10, and then you're
Right.
like, oh my god, it's 15. But Jason, tell me about yourself.
Same for me. I have been in the game probably since well, it's been about 1998. I'm telling a little bit of my age a little bit here, but yeah, it's been a while. Man, I've done a few things. I've worked for IBM for a few years, worked for Red Hat for a few years. You can actually see my Red Hat right there.
Oh yeah, I can see it in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, worked for Red Hat for a little bit. Here in the Raleigh Durham Research Triangle Park area, and very excited right now. Very excited about the age of agents, right? And so yeah, I think it's gonna be an exciting little demo that we're gonna embark on here.
Hey, sorry. I was like, I didn't want to leave you, but pretty good. I swiped and I was gone. But
No worries, no worries.
yeah. Uh, all right. So what are we? Whoops. What are we doing today? We. All right. So we, Jason and I met, I guess, well, a couple of weeks back, right,
Yeah,
through the
yeah,
K agent community.
yeah.
And then we started talking about, like Jason was saying, the things that he was working on, right, and some of the interesting scenarios as like an SRE and platform engineer that he needs to go through, and how could something like AI or agents, right, help with that. So I started working on the K agent. So K agent is this framework that is Kubernetes native and allows you to build agents with no code, right? So I started working on that in January. So we were coming up with that with the agents for the cloud native world, I guess. And Started this community, open sourced the project. We had a lot of people join. A lot of interest was generated. Um, and then, yeah, we figured maybe we should get together, right, and try to build an agent live, right, for everyone to watch and see, like, what are the issues that we run through, like run into, how to overcome them, what are the things that like you have to be careful when you're building agents. So I'll try to bring my knowledge from the agent side, and then Jason, you're going to bring more of the, I would say, like SRE, is that right, like platform engineering
Sure.
knowledge. Yeah. Anything to add from your side?
From my side, yeah. So from my side, the way that I kind of landed on K Agent was through my research on agents, agentic AI, so to speak. It's kind of the all the rage right now, in terms of what's happening in artificial intelligence. And as I kind of described in one of my research papers, the autonomous nature of agents is an important piece to understand, and so I was looking for frameworks, right, that ran these that ran these agents, managed these agents, right, and so specifically important to me was something that was open, something that was cloud native, being a person that has a lot of experience with like Kubernetes, for example. I think containers are the way of the future at this point, and the speed at which you can scale up and down, I think, is going to be important going forward. So building something on top of an orchestration platform like
Mhm.
Kubernetes was important to me. And then just the usability of the tool, the usability of the product. There are several agent AI frameworks out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Some of them are kind of visual. Others are kind of you describe what you want in like a YAML file or something, but whatever feels natural to you, maybe, or whatever kind of fits your use case. And so for me, I think for some of the agencies that I'd like to build for Crane, I'd like for them to be as open and as cloud native and as nimble as possible. So
yeah.
the agent looked like something and that's kind of that's how I found you guys. And so I said, man, lo and behold,
Perfect. Yeah,
the same folks who have worked on Istio, right, the service mesh,
yeah, yeah,
are the same folks who have pioneered this. So it seemed very, very natural for me to kind of tag along.
yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. So, all right. So for today, so we brainstormed a little bit last week, right, and went through like what do we want to build, how do we want to build it. So this will be the first session. I think there will be at least, I want to say at least two more, if not more than that. Uh, but we're calling this the AI Reliability Engineering Framework series, right?
Oh, I like
Uh,
it.
yeah, we're calling it that. And in this first rendition of the series, what we'll try to do is we'll try to build a Terraform AI agent. We will be using kagent, and we will use at least one MCP server for now. We might use more later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what we'll do is I'll start with like quickly explain what AI reliability engineering is, right? So it's all about how you can use AI to make your systems more dependable, right? So instead of having rigid automation that will break when some of the conditions change, right? AI reliability engineering uses AI that can understand your systems and then can go and adapt. So think of it as collection of agents, one or more agents, whatever it is, right? That can watch what's happening across all of your systems, right? So you can connect to all of your different systems. You're going to typically do that using something that's called MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. And we'll talk about this more as we go through it. So these agents are watching what's happening. They can connect to events from different places and times, right? So you can bring in your logs, you can bring in your events. They can access different knowledge that's either stored in your documentation, it's stored in code, it's stored in your run books, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. So you can do that using something that's called RAG, where you inject relevant context into your agents. And then these agents can suggest and also, hopefully, very soon, automatically implement solutions for you, right? So if you have troubleshooting anything or if you're trying to fix something, these agents can go and help you, right? So the difference between like traditional automation and the AI reliability systems is that these systems and these agents will remember the past problems that they went through as well as the solutions for those problems, right? They can understand how different parts of your system work together, and they also know your specific processes, your documentation that your company uses, right? Um, so what you can do with a set of agents like that, set of AI agents, you can very quickly diagnose any problems and issues, typically issues that might take humans hours to solve, let's say, right? And figure out what is the issue, what is the root cause of that issue, right? However, I want to point out that it's not like we're not talking about replacing you or me or replacing humans, right?
Not exactly, no.
Yeah, it's more about like empowering humans, giving them more power, right? So these agents will go and handle some of the routine tasks. So you can actually go and focus on more, I would say, creative or strategic work that you want to be doing versus doing this routine tasks that you can delegate to an agent to do. How's that for an explanation? Is it
I think that's pretty good. You know,
all right? Like, I don't think we have an actual like official what's the name? I'm blanked on the word, like, definition, right?
yeah,
For this, but
yeah. I tend to think of it like the next layer of abstraction, right? The way that I kind of think of this is, you know, much like in IT automation, at one point it was up to us. We had to install the packages. We had to set the configuration parameters. We had to start the services, right? But now with Terraform, right, it's a great example, right? We can just describe in a very English syntax what we want in terms of, like, you know, desired state, right? And then the system itself converges towards that state as best as it can, and we don't worry about the, you know, the details. So similarly, right, I think agents are going to do the same. The only difference is, and I think you kind of pointed it out, is that, you know, the autonomous nature of or the non-deterministic way that agents go about solving its problems versus, you know, the traditional IT, you know, or scripts that are very deterministic. And so I
yes,
think
yeah,
going forward, we have to understand what does that mean, you know, in terms of guardrails and safety and all of that stuff. So I think we're going to get into that a little bit as well.
yeah, yeah. All right, so let me start by sharing my screen, and we'll. I want to show that diagram that we came up with.
All right.
Just so everyone has an idea of what we're trying to do.
And since
Uh,
this is a live stream, while you're doing this, I can kind of give a few shout outs here. I see we've got
yeah, go ahead.
Diraj from LinkedIn, Jafar from LinkedIn. Hello. Chris also from LinkedIn. We've got Christy from YouTube, Gopal from YouTube, and Christy from no, same person, Christy from YouTube. Yes, she says AIRE is pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely is. All right. If my screen is too small, let me know. But I
I think that was
will.
pretty good.
Pretty good. I'll actually start with this here, and then we can go and switch to, like, show their repo and actually go and try and build things. So
Perfect.
what we like, this is what we ended up when we brainstormed for like an hour or two, right? Like, this is what we want to be, where we want to be in a couple of weeks from now when we do all of the streams, right? What we want to do is we want to build a AWS, and we'll talk about in a second why AWS, right? AWS IAC agent that uses a Terraform agent.
Mhm.
It has access to a Terraform agent. It has access to an AWS validation agent. And this IAC agent also have access to a GitHub MCP server. So why AWS? We just picked one, right?
There you go.
That's the reason for it. There's no other like deep thought behind it. You can feel free to replace this AWS. Could be Google, could be Azure, could be, or whatever you're using. It doesn't really matter in the end, right? But the first thing that we're starting with is all right. So let's explain what each of these agents would do, right? So the Terraform agent, the idea here is that we want an agent where I can come to an agent and say, hey, I want a VM, right, with public IP address or whatever, right? You basically explain in a natural language type of infrastructure and or resources you want, right? Without knowing any Terraform. By the way, I don't know any Terraform, right? You come in as a user, say, this is what I want. And this agent, through the use of this AWS Terraform MCP server, so there's an MCP server that was created by, I think this was by AWS Labs, right? And this MCP server has it knows how to generate like best practices for it knows best practices for Terraform, right? It has access to the documentation, right? It can analyze the modules, and it can also execute Terraform workflows, which we're not going to be doing, at least not today, but it's good to know that it can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so the idea is, as I said, I come in and say in natural language, this is what I want. And what this agent will give me out is a valid Terraform configuration, right? So it's going to spit out a .tf file for me or someone else to use, right? So that's what we're building today. Then what we wanted to do is we wanted to have this overarching IAC agent that can actually take that generated Terraform files or config files, and through the use of the GitHub MCP server, go and actually create a PR on GitHub with whatever changes you requested to be in that Terraform, right? So let's say I wanted to say, create me a Kubernetes cluster with like, here's all the specifics that I want. The Terraform agent would go and create those files for you. The IAC agent would take those files, talk to the GitHub MCP server. With the help of the server, it would clone the repo that we'll provide, right? An example repo. It will clone the repo, it will create a new branch,
Mm-hmm.
it will put those files there, it will stage those files, it will create the comments, it will create the PR, and it will actually push the PR, right? That's what it's going to do. Then Jason will come in, right?
Yes.
Or someone with more knowledge about Terraform, right? Uh, to go and actually review and approve, right? So we want to make sure that there is human
Yeah.
in the loop here, right? We don't, even
Right.
though we could just say, "Hey, agent, go and do whatever," right? You don't want to do that yet, right? Uh,
Yeah,
so
I was gonna bring that out as a piece as to why
yes,
didn't we just go straight, right? We could have just given the agent direct access to, AWS. Why are we doing it this Terraform way? And you just mentioned it, right? It's because we want to keep the human in the loop. Not
yeah,
only that, but remember, Terraform is used so that we can audit, so that we can see the life cycle of your infrastructure, right? If we just gave the agents direct access, they'd be changing stuff all the time. You just wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what was changed, when, how. You
yeah.
wouldn't know any of that. And so by forcing the agent, right, or not forcing, you're almost saying, hey, this is the you've got a
It
hammer.
doesn't.
You
Yeah,
got a hammer. You
exactly.
can only
Yeah,
use this hammer, right? So
yeah.
that's kind of the idea, and so it uses what is available to it, which keeps the human in the loop.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like GitOps is one of the practices, right? That we want to use here as well. Where once the agent opens a PR, someone goes like everything goes through GitHub, right? Everything is reviewable, everything is auditable there, right? So let's say we're at that stage, the agent pushed the PR, the
Mhm,
human reviewed the PR, everything looks good, right? We're gonna click OK, right? Or merge, not OK, right? You're gonna merge the pull request.
mhm.
Uh, we will have a CI/CD and all the like processes implemented in GitHub to go and actually realize that configuration as infrastructure, right? We'll go ahead and realize that one, and then this is where the last part would come in. Once that's done, you could go back to this IAC agent and say, "Hey, can you go and just validate
There you go.
that PR that just merged to make sure that stuff was actually deployed the way it was supposed to be deployed," right?
Right.
So this would be agent number 3, which we called AWS validation agent. And here, I think the input here, like this is, let's say this is a couple of weeks out, so maybe we haven't like thought completely fully through it yet. But the idea here would be that the input for this agent could be a GitHub PR that was merged, right?
Mm, mm.
The agent can pull it down, it can figure out what happened in that PR, and then use AWS MCP server to actually get access to the infrastructure running in
To see
AWS.
that was actually created, yeah.
Yeah, to actually see and verify, was it created, was it what's supposed to be created, right? And then maybe give you like a status update, or you could actually use this AWS validation agent to go and check any infrastructure theoretically that's running in your cloud, right? Um, Chris is asking, will the GitHub agent be able to feedback on the? Okay, so so that's another thing that we did think about. So there's no GitHub agent per se. We only have the MCP server. So maybe let me just quickly explain what an MCP server is. Maybe so an MCP server is just an easier way for an agent to get access to, in this case, GitHub API, right?
Right.
Right. So it's like this, and then this one knows how to call like different APIs from the GitHub. And then on this side, we have agents, right? That have this well-known interface that they can talk to in order to get access to GitHub. So there's no agent here. However, going back to, we think that this will be 3 streams, we could create a GitHub agent if we wanted to, right?
We could.
Right.
Yeah.
And that agent could provide like feedback, right,
Mm-hmm.
on the PR as well, right?
Yeah. I think what we were trying to do was, in this particular example, right, there are places where automation makes sense, traditional automation makes sense. So we didn't necessarily think about using a GitHub agent, because in this case, a pipeline could just pass or fail the merge, right? And just say, yes, this is good, or no, this is not, or whatever. So we have to be we were trying to be strategic about where we used agency and where we used automation. And so, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we could, if we wanted to, make a GitHub agent that would expose some other capabilities.
Theoretically, we already have a GitHub agent, right? It's called Copilot, right? So we could theoretically use that. However, it might be it could be like a complete other series of streams that we could do, showing how to actually like create, I think they're calling GitHub apps or something, right? Basically a GitHub app, some servers that has access to your repo and can actually go and like comment on the PRs, right?
Right.
It's something that we should put on a shelf, but definitely we could go and figure that out, right? Yeah, we can PR validate. Yeah, exactly. You can. Yeah, you can. I mean, the possibilities are endless, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go and do it, right? Let's start focusing on the Terraform agent, and let's see how we can build this. So as I said, we'll be using kagent, and is this? I'll make this a little bit bigger.
It's good.
And we have this repo here. So I'll just post it in the chat, but we will also post this in the descriptions as well. Oh, I posted it in the chat on YouTube. Let me post it in LinkedIn as well. There you go. But we'll post it on like in the descriptions as well. Perfect. This is where we'll be like storing all the YAML and everything that we create, so you can go and deploy this on your own if you want to, right? All right, so we'll be using kagent. I'm not going to go through the installation, but if you go to kagent.dev and then just click get started, that one will those instructions will guide you through on how to install kagent, right? You will need either OpenAI or Anthropic or Azure. You can also use a Llama if you want to and run it locally. I will be using OpenAI because just because it has it's a powerful enough model, right? And I think it'll work well. So once you have this installed, what you'll do is you'll end up with a UI like this. Right, so we already have a bunch of agents here, like a sample agents that you can go and use. But what we'll do is I will go and create a new agent just so we have something to get started with. And then we can go back and forth and modify it, right? So let's do Terraform, right? So this will be our Terraform agent. Terraform agent. And then with the instructions, so these are some of the default instructions that we give all of the agents. So these instructions basically tell the agent how to behave, how to interpret whatever the user is asking it to do, right? I'll keep this as is for now, but this, I think, a lot of our time today will be spent on this, trying to make this work for the task that we're trying to do. Actually, let's do this. So we'll keep the instructions here, and we'll say you are a Terraform AI agent that helps users generate valid, efficient, and secure. Is that a thing? A secure Terraform configuration? Terraform,
Yeah, you can
Terraform
say that. Sure.
configuration, right?
That's right.
In a form of .tf files. Oh, TF, right? Files.
Yes,
There we go.
correct.
So I'll keep these instructions here just so everyone gets a feel for how this works. Model, we only have this one model, so we'll stick with this one. We can play with different models later on. We're not going to have any memories. So the memories here, what you could do here is you could create your own vector database
Hmm.
and then hook it up to your agent, right? So that would mean your agent could go and look through the memories, through the knowledge base, through the database, for the user query before actually going and creating a response, right? And then last step here, we can give this agent access to tools or other agents. We're not going to do this yet, but I just want to show it. So you can give your agent access to other agents. So let's say we want our Terraform agent to do something with Kubernetes. We could give it access to Kubernetes, right? If you wanted to. And then this Kubernetes agent has access to Kubernetes tools and knows how to do Kubernetes stuff, right? Uh, and then we also have a set of other tools that you can give access to your agent, like Argo, Cilium tools, date time, right? In case you want to know the correct date and time. Dogs, Grafana. There's a bunch of stuff here. There's also any MCP servers that you create will also be accessible from here. So we'll show that later. All right, so let's create this very simple basic Terraform agent. So let's do that. Now, if we come to this agent, let me open this. Oh, there we go. Let me make this a little bit bigger like this. Still visible enough? Still
Yeah,
good?
that
Yeah.
looks good. Yep.
All right. So this is where the entry point is going to be. So let's say, what is a good example, Jason, that we could use for Terraform? Like, what is?
Let's try. I think we said we were going to do something like creating a EC2 instance.
Okay.
So let's say something like, hey, can you create an EC2 instance for me in the US East 1 region, let's say.
Is it like this? US
Dash
dash East
one,
one?
dash one, yeah.
Oh, dash one as well.
US dash East dash 1 region, yo. Yep. So this is just saying, like, AWS obviously has the concept of, like, regions, and you can put stuff into different data centers, basically.
Mm.
So we're just saying that, hey, in fact, I don't know, maybe we should go up even higher, because this is basically saying, like, you have knowledge of what an EC2 instance is.
Yes.
Maybe we should be saying, can you create a server for me, in Virginia? I don't know.
Let's try it. So let me take this. I'll just copy it. I'll just create a folder here called notes. I'll just copy it here, and then we can try. This is actually a very good way to like learn and get a feel for how
it understands what we're
exactly
Right.
right, because you said create. Can you create me a server in Virginia, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Want to try? Let's see what happens, right? Note that we don't, like, the agent doesn't have any specific things, right? All right, there you go. So it's saying, all right, to help you create a server in Virginia, I need a bit more information, which is pretty good, right?
That's pretty good.
It's asking us, which cloud provider do you want us to use? What type of server, right? Any specifications, right? Do you want any networking setup, right? However, look at this at the end, right? It does actually say, please provide these details so I can generate appropriate Terraform.
From the
We
configuration.
didn't ask anything specific about Terraform, right? However, it was part of the instructions, right?
Yes.
So that's why it figured out that, okay, so I'm supposed to be creating Terraform, right? So here's what I would do next. So this is I think this is a good guidance to say start with as generic of a prompt as possible and then go and narrow it down to
And
what
then
you want.
there you go. Right. Yep.
So let's do this. So I'll copy this and just so I can have it here. So there's, can you create me? All right. So it did this and then it asked us a couple of questions, right? So it asked us, which cloud provider do you want to use? Well, we know, right, that we want to use AWS,
That's right.
right? So what we can do is I'll open this here just so I can get the instructions and I'll do this instructions. Maybe I'm overcomplicating here, but I just
No,
want to make sure that we have
this is
a
actually revealing something right here live that if we really want to add specificity to our agents, right? When we ask it things generically, right, we want to make sure that it keeps the specificity. So if I say I want to create a server in Virginia, it should automatically just already know if it's an AWS agent that I'm not talking about any other thing but
exactly. It should
right?
not. It should not ask me whether I want to use Google Cloud
This helps us
or anything.
narrow the
Yeah,
prompt, right? To say don't offer any,
yeah,
I don't know how we're going to say it, but
yeah. So let's do this. Yeah, basically, don't like we can bake this in, right? So it doesn't have to ask the user, right? So we have instructions. I think these were general instructions. So let's do the rules, right? You only know how to. So wait, what are the response? So which cloud provider? Okay, so let's do that. So let's say you can only provide Terraform for AWS cloud provider, right?
that's right.
Terraform configuration for AWS. Okay, so let's see what happens if I go and actually edit this and try to repeat the same thing, right? Repeat the same question. So let's copy this one and say rules. You can only provide Terraform configuration for AWS cloud provider.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right? So that's the only change that I made. So let's go back and ask the same question. And the question was, can you create me a server in Virginia? There you go. Let's see what happens here. There you go.
Look at that.
Right. So right away, you're getting a different response. Not only different, it's way more specific. Right.
Way more specific.
Right. Just the fact that we said your AWS, it actually said, oh, okay, AWS EC2 instance. It figured out, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong or not, that US East 1 is Virginia region.
That's it. That's correct. Right? So it figured out the correct region because we gave it that specificity. Yes.
Exactly. And then it asks us more questions, right? What type of instance do you need? Specific machine image, right? Like do you need a common one? Do you need like any specific things, right? Should I include this? Should I include that? Any tags, right? Whatever, right? So it's asking us more questions. Now, let's go back to the original one. So the original response. So we figured the first one out, right? So let's delete that one. Then we're saying, what type of server do you want? I think we figured this one out, right? We want EC2 servers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's delete that. Now it's asking us any specifications. And that's kind of the same question here, but it's more specific. And then same for here, like any security groups. So what we can do here, and I'll leave it up to you, Jason. You tell me, do we want to say always use, let's say, T3 micro instance?
Yeah.
Unless user asks for something else. Do you want to do that?
Let's say, for example, this is a dev environment, right? Yeah. Let's say, for example, this is a dev environment, which means we don't want the users of this particular agency to spin up huge, large.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll say like you only know how to spin up, the smallest, T3 micro or whatever it is. I can't remember what the name of it is.
Yeah.
But
Let's do T3 micro instances. We can
yeah,
say unless user asks for something different,
something different. You
right?
could say that. Yeah.
Yeah. But by default, it's almost like we're setting up defaults here,
False.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Default arguments almost.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Linux 2 sounds like a good machine image. Is that the right one?
That's the other thing that we could say. Yes. So we could specifically say,
Using Amazon Linux.
using the Amazon AMI, right?
This one. Security groups, enabling SSH port.
You can say things like automatically give attach an external IP address to this host, for example. So that would be like an elastic IP, right?
Yep.
You could
Yep.
say that. We could also say the kind of storage that gets connected to this host on, right? So in our agency, right, we can make some, like you were kind of saying, we can make some assumptions. And they provide those as like defaults, and then maybe allow the agent to override if they need to.
Yes. Yeah. So in general, follow these rules. Okay, let's do this. Always follow these rules unless user asks for a specific change, right? So if the user is going to ask for a T2 small, we're not going to say no. But by default, like we want this to spit out like an actual Terraform right away. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So let's do this. And then let's say, just for fun, any resource you create must have a tag, must have the following tags. So let's do
love this.
creator Terraform kagent, just for fun, right?
That's cool.
Just for fun.
Because then you know that it was created by the agent. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back. Let's edit. Oops, I wanted to do this. Edit here, and then we'll copy these rules. Note that I'm still keeping these generic rules at the bottom there, but we'll have to go and change this. Yeah. Let's do rules. Okay, any resource you create must have. Okay, all right. So let's save this.
I see Ahmad in LinkedIn kind of made a mention there. He says probably check for quotas and available resources is a wise step.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one as well. And that's like maybe our agent, I don't want to change it right now, but maybe this Terraform agent should also have access to this AWS MCP agent, maybe, and go and figure out.
Yeah.
Like
this is where, right. So this is where, like, maybe you have a cost agent, and maybe this agent talks to the cost.
Exactly. You're right.
Right. So it's a million ways to skin a cat.
Right?
Yes.
So cost it, right? And this one can go and figure out the quotas, and it can go and figure out whatever. And this Terraform agent, or any other agent in this case, it would probably be this top level one, because this top level one is where we're going to ask create this. And in these instructions for this agent, it would basically be go and figure out if I can actually go and create this first. Then do this, then like it's almost like we could explain a workflow to the agent on how to do things. All right, so let's go. We updated the agent, and we'll try the same question as before. So let's see what we're going to get this time. Can you create me a server? There you go.
Look at that.
There you go. This is looking a little bit better, right? Close to what we wanted it to do in a way. So let's see. So, okay, we'll have to wait for it to finish. Otherwise, it's like automatically scrolling, right? All right. There you go, right? So this is what it said. Sure, I will create a T3 micro instance. T3 because we set it to create T3, right? US East 1, it figured out that that's Virginia, right? it figured out based on instructions that we want Linux 2, right? Image. It also said, figure out from the instructions, external IP and security group allowing port 22, right? And it will also tag with
Right.
the Terraform agent, right? So it's
Yep.
following our instructions pretty good.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to take off my hat, and you, Jason, you'll put on your Terraform hat,
There we
right?
go.
And you will have to tell me, is this
Yes. So to get
close to correct or not?
So this looks
Uh,
pretty. So this looks pretty good. If you look at the top there, right? We're basically saying, as you know, if for folks who use Terraform, right, we declare a provider at the top that just basically says, hey, this particular configuration is for AWS, right? And
yep,
there's some sort of global, variables that you can set at that level. Here, we're basically saying we want it to be in US East 1, which is correct because we said Virginia. Then
yep.
again, here are the resource definitions, right? One of the first ones that it does is it pokes a hole into the security group, allowing port 22 through to the host. So you can see that there. You can scroll
This
down a
this
little.
one is allowing it going out.
This is allowing it to go the other way. Yes.
Yep, yep,
Then if you scroll down, there's your tag that we
yep,
want. This allows us to tag the resource so that we can see later on that it was created with the agent. And then, yeah, you can also see a few other items there. There is the name of the, I believe that's the Amazon AMI that it's going to use.
yep,
Yep, there we
yep.
go. And then there is kind of the meat and potatoes, if you would. This is the actual server resource. So it kind of uses all of those other resources that we created and kind of compiles
Yeah.
all of those to this
All
server
together into this is the actual like the
This
server
is
that we
the
want to
thing
create. It's just
that we
referencing stuff that we created
prior to. Yes, that's correct.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
this looks well formed. Hi,
Perfect.
Dennis.
Hey Dennis. Yeah. Perfect. And then it also gives us a summary. It says, oh, we created the AWS provider, right? Set to Virginia. It basically tell us what it did. And then it said, let me know if you want help with anything else, right? So this is all good. However, what we wanted to do is we actually wanted to, like, this is great, but we want this agent to only give us back the Terraform, right? Like, we don't necessarily care about this thing here, right? We don't care about the summary down here, right? We only need the Terraform, right?
That's
The
right.
file. That's what we need, right? So let's see how we can do this. And let's go back to here, edit the agent. Now notice, and this is why I left the other instructions there on purpose. Notice down here, it's saying, oh, if the question is unclear, like it has some generic things that are pretty good, right? To have. So always be helpful, friendly, blah, blah, blah. And it's also saying always format your response in Markdown, like explain things, include a summary, right? We don't really want that, right? Not in this case. What we really want is just the Terraform files, right? So let's do this. So let's remove this. I think Chris is asking something. What is it? Would it be worth defining Terraform source
Source
and
and
version so it uses? Good point. Good point. Probably.
You could, yes. I think
Probably. How would that? Is there like is Terraform? Is this like a provider specific version or something
so.
else?
You can specifically say, like, I want to use, a specific version of Terraform. I wonder if we can infer that from the documentation that we kind of preloaded with. Maybe it can figure out, like, 3.7. I don't know what the latest version of Terraform is, but we may be able to just, yes, feed it, only use,
Whatever the version is or whatever the
in the
yeah.
latest version. Yes. Yeah.
And this will bring us back to this AWS Terraform server. So let's go.
Brings us
Let's do
back to that.
this. Yeah. So let's update this. So I removed those extra instructions that we had. Let's see if this is enough. I don't think it will be, but we can fix it very quickly. So let's do this. Can you create me a server in Virginia? Oh, there you go. Right.
Mm.
So now we're getting only getting back what we actually want to get back, which is Terraform, right?
Right.
That's what we have. However, I think it's safer to actually go here and say only respond with the Terraform configuration and nothing else, right? I don't know how much this helps, but just in case, right, we're telling it we only want that. All right. So since we have like 10 minutes,
It can't hurt, I don't think. I don't
yeah,
think it can hurt.
exactly, exactly. It's not going to hurt, right? So what I want to do next is I want to make use of the MCP server that we found here. So let's go to their GitHub. Oh, there's a lot of stuff here. Terraform. Oh, it's down here. All
There
right.
we go.
Terraform server. Let me guess. It'll take me back to where I was, of course. All right. This is what we need. This is what we need. So we basically need to configure, and I'll put it this way. We'll need to add this server.
There we go.
So we'll use UVX. The package name is AWS Terraform, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, let's add log level. Not that it matters, but let's add it here. Whoops. Let's add this here, add server. So what happens here is we're going to go and kagent is going to go and it'll discover the tools that are, hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll discover the tools. Let's see. There you go, right? It went in and discovered the tools that this MCP server provides, right? So what does it mean, right? So this means that we could take any or all of these tools and give them to our agent, and that would allow our agent to go and run any of these tools, right?
Right.
So the interesting one that I'm seeing here is this one that says search AWS provider docs, right? So this one is going to go and search the docs for information about specific assets, right? It retrieves comprehensive results, right? Blah, blah, blah,
So,
blah,
Chris,
blah.
Chris, I wonder if that capability right there is the one that would keep us up to date because it's
Good.
such
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. But in this way, we would be relying on
on a
MCP server, right, to know what is the latest, right?
It's a great point.
Yeah. And then you can run like some checks, right, for security and compliance issues. That's interesting. Let's try. Let's quickly try some of these. We do have a hard stop in 10 minutes, but we can definitely continue this next time as well. All right.
Yes.
So let me just find my bearings here.
I
Never mind.
know we got 10 minutes left, but I'm wondering, was this helpful to folks? I don't know if there's
Yes. Yeah, that would be good to know.
If there's anyone in the chats there, was this helpful? Was this
yeah, just give us a thumbs up, or thumbs down.
let us know.
Yeah. I would hope it's thumbs up, but yeah, if this was helpful, we'll definitely like spend more time, and we can spend more time on different things, right? So let me go into the tools. There you go. So now I have access to, I can filter the tools by the provider, AWS Terraform, and I have access to all of these commands or all of these tools. So let's do this one, right? And I'm curious how this checkoff security scan works. So let's add that for fun as well. So now I just want to show you how this looks like. So you'll see here. I see a lot of thumbs up going up in like LinkedIn, so I'm assuming people like it. I don't know. No one's commenting, so
keep them coming.
yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's see. So now you can see the agent has access to these two tools. So now if I would ask it, can you search the AWS provider docs and tell me how to configure an EC2 instance. Let's see if this will work.
That's a good one.
Yeah, let's see. What is it going to do? But ideally, what I wanted to do is I wanted to like go from what was our initial thing? Create me a server in Virginia and then have an agent go and do the search to figure it out, right? And then also go and run the check to make sure that it's all good, right? And look at that. It actually went, it figured out that we're asking about AWS instance. It got the results.
Look at that.
Oh, it's still going, right? But it
Yeah.
got the results from the documentation that MCP server has access to,
Yeah.
right? And then it created
Look at that.
the Terraform, right? Note it still has the creator thing in there, right? It still has the security group. It's still opening the port 22, right?
It did do a. I think it did something different. For example, it added a name and a description to the
Oh, this
security group.
and this, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's like
I
a
think that
best
was different.
practice
Yeah,
kind of thing that it kind of pulled from the documentation.
actually, we can check. Let's
Can
see.
we check that? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
there you go. Yeah. You're right.
to
You're.
look at
Oh
that.
no, no. Actually, this one had it. Wait. This one had it. Let me copy this, and we can
I wonder if there's a
compare.
diff that we could do to kind of see the difference.
We can do like a poor man's diff and copy. Do like this, right?
There you go. Did
Instance
it add anything
example,
different? Did
right?
it do anything different?
Oh, okay. So it actually directly provided the image name
Oh, I
versus the initial one we actually created. I think there we had like a separate. We had this, right? Uh,
I see.
Security group. I think everything else was
Pretty close.
yeah,
So,
pretty close. Like this is the same, right?
yeah.
But now let's see if we can go back here to this chat and just say, can you run a checkoff scan on this resource? Right? Go. Let's see. And then we'll stop after this. The only thing that I'll do is I will get the YAML. Ooh, it failed. No.
Oh,
What? Why did it fail? Let's see. Maybe it's not us. It's them. Let's see.
maybe.
Could be. Ah, okay. Yeah, it looks like there was a timeout. Okay, there was a timeout. We can figure this out. We can increase the timeout, right? But it looks like it was a timeout.
Yeah.
Calling the check there. But
Yeah.
all right. Anyway, so I'll let's stop here. I think we've been going for an hour, so let's stop. And let me switch to. Why are we in circles?
Here we go again with
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's where we are. Yeah, Christy is saying we need a 925 agent. Yes.
Won't be long, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It may not be long. So
yeah.
we'll
All
see.
right. Well, I really hope this was useful for folks watching. We will, as I said, we'll update the repo.
Yeah.
Like follow us on LinkedIn wherever we are, right? You can find us. And like if you found this, you'll find us as well. And we'll post the link to the repo there as well. And I think we can do next stream in like I'm out next week, a week after that, right?
Okay.
So like 2 weeks or so. Yeah, and let us know if you liked it or not. But yeah, thanks, Jason, for doing this. I think it was
of
very
course.
useful.
Exciting stuff. Thank you for taking us through it, and looking forward to the next one. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Later.